radio server and an unauthenticated client. I can connect your access point and then start doing an EAP exchange and just put whatever I want in there. If I can find a buffer overflow or an integer error or some kind of vulnerability, I can exploit that without any authentication credentials on the wireless network. So I noticed this the other day. We had written the software for free radios. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And they came out with a new version, so I was checking it out the other day. This came out a couple days ago now. And they had some cool things here. Added notes, logging. I like this one right here. Added the ability to send attributes via raw attribute equals and some random hex value. This is available only in debug builds. It can be used to create invalid packets. Use with care. Great! That's awesome, right? So now it's a built-in fuzzer in FreeRadius. So if you're into this kind of thing, you can compile your own FreeRadius server with the debug builds, and then just start putting together configuration files. You don't have to be a coder to do that. Just think of random shit to put in there, and then keep sending it to the client. And now you're fuzzing the client that's trying to authenticate to the radio server. So I thought that was pretty neat. Okay. So I'm going to talk about attacking some EAP types, but first I'm going to take a big swig of water here.
Yeah, man.
So what about EAP-MD5? So we're going to start with some of the easy targets like emo. Okay. Yeah, you XKCD fans laughed lightly. Okay. So EAP-MD5 is an early basic authentication mechanism. It's not RFC 4017 compliant, so it doesn't do all the things that we know to be a secure authentication mechanism. There's no support for encryption key delivery, so you really don't see EAP-MD5 used too much. I'm told that it's used very popularly by large wireless ISPs in Korea. Haven't been out there to check it out yet. And then recently I've been to a bunch of customers who would tell me they use EAP-MD5 on their wired networks as well, which is kind of interesting. There's no native supplicant support in Windows, but you can get an alternative supplicant in OS X or Odyssey. So OS X natively supports EAP-MD5. Odyssey supports EAP-MD5 as well. The server support is Windows IAS, Cisco ACS, Steel Belted Radius, and FreeRadius. What's interesting is that IAS and FreeRadius have EAP-MD5 enabled by default. So when you install Windows IAS, it does PEAP by default, and it does EAP-MD5 by default as well. Now, I don't really know why this is. I don't know why Microsoft includes EAP-MD5 support in Windows IAS when the supplicant doesn't support that, but it stands to reason that if somebody wanted to, like an OS X user wanted to use it, they could just pick EAP-MD5 and successfully authenticate against your IAS server in a default configuration, which could leave your network a little bit exposed. So an interesting thing there, and it's just on by default. Oh, awesome. Okay, so it's on for voice over IP phones. Sweet. Okay. If you have some packet captures, I'd love to see that action. Okay. By the way, any packet captures, I'm all over that. Just don't Hexor my Wireshark implementation. You know what really sucks when you're fuzzing something and then Wireshark crashes? That's when you know that you found a problem, right? That's not cool, man. No, I don't like that. I want Wireshark not to crash. Really, that's what I'm looking for. So what does the EAP-MD5 exchange look like? We got our 802.11 authentication and association stuff, and I'm still not authenticated to the network. I'm just authenticated to the AP. And now I'm going to do some identity request and response stuff. Basically, I'm brokering back and forth between the radio server. The radio server generates a 16-byte MD5 challenge and sends it to me. And then I use, as my client, I calculate my response ID, my password, and my challenge, concatenate it together, and I MD5 that. And that's my response. So it's just a simple MD5 challenge response mechanism for EAP-MD5. This all goes in plain text. So this has been a problem, right? Anybody looking at this says, well, this is kind of broken here, right? This isn't cool. So this has been around for a while now, but nobody had written an exploit tool, so I decided to go to town on that. So I wrote a tool called EAP-MD5 Pass, and I'll tell you about where all this stuff will be at the end of the presentation. So EAP-MD5 Pass, pretty straightforward. Reads in a PCAP file, reads in a dictionary file. On my, piece of crap laptop, I'm doing like 400,000 passwords a second. That's pretty unoptimized. I think in any modern system, you'll be doing like well over 1 million a second. So, it's pretty effective at doing these offline dictionary attacks. Tool didn't exist, so I took it upon myself to write it. Okay. What about Leap? Yeah, all right, yeah. And it's GPL. Woo! Yeah, free beer. Woo! All right. So what about LEAP, right? LEAP has been broken for a couple years now. I think a lot of people realize that. I see less and less LEAP, but quite honestly, I don't get out of the house that much, right? So people tell me there's a lot of LEAP still. I don't really understand that. It uses MSChat v1 for authentication. Now, unlike Landman, like the legacy MSChat v1 stuff, it does actually protect your passwords a little bit better. So it doesn't convert all the passwords to uppercase. It doesn't split them into 7-byte chunks and all that stuff that Landman used to do. But it still does the traditional MSChat v1 challenge response mechanism, where the authentication agent sends an 8-byte challenge, the client sends a 24-byte response, and that gets validated. Okay. So again, this is only available on Cisco APs. So a couple years ago, I wrote a sleep to do this attack, and it also works against PPTP networks as well. So this is old news. The new thing is that in a sleep, I added support to specify a challenge and a response right on the command line. You know, I like writing C. I don't like writing packet parsers personally. So what I did was JBL actually called me up. Yeah, JBL, yeah. Dude, that was all right, crazy. All right, yeah, all right. So JBL called me up and he said, hey, we'd really like this feature where I have a MSChat v1 challenge response. It's not in a packet capture format that Asleep understands. Can I just give you the challenge response? And I'm like, yeah, man. So that night right after dinner, it took me like 15 minutes. So now with the Sleep, you can say, -C, there's the challenge, -R, there's the 24-byte response. Here's my database file for looking up all the entries. Here's my index file, and you know, JBL's posse. So this is you know, traditional functionality. Basically, what's happened with the Sleep is that it's gone from just LEAP cracking to more generic MSChat v1 cracking, or MSChat v2 cracking. And I'm going through all this because it's going to be important in a couple seconds for the good stuff. All right, let's talk about Eat Fast for a minute. So when I was doing the whole vulnerability thing, I'm going to go like step over here because this is better for me. Okay, so with Eat Fast, when I was talking to Cisco about disclosing the whole LEAP vulnerability thing, they said, well, we need like 6 months to fix this. All right, 6 months went by. We need another 3 months. All right, 3 months went by. We need another month. Okay, the next day they came out with Eat Fast, which is the replacement to do LEAP. And basically Cisco's pitch is, it's as secure as PEAP, but as simple as LEAP. Yeah, all right, man, I'm all over that, okay? So, yeah, thanks, Brad. So it uses a pre-shared authentication credential. Did I fix that? That might not be right.
No,
that's not right. What is it? Oh, protected authentication credential. Yeah, something. All right. It's basically a file-based authentication mechanism. How do you get that pack, right? How do you get that pack? You just, you know, the administrator emails it to you, right, and you get it. No. They put it on a thumb drive and they walk it to your machine. No, that's not going to work as well. So what do we do with that? Well, they've got an anonymous EAP pack provisioning mechanism where basically you first log on to the EAP Fast access point and you say, hey, I don't have a pack. And it uses anonymous Diffie-Hellman negotiation, which translates to no negotiation. And then it says, hey, here's your pack. Okay? You do EAP MSChat v2 authentication with whoever the access point says he is, and then they give you a pack. Okay? And then you disconnect and you use that pack and you authenticate to the network. Okay? So that's something called EAP Fast Phase 0 provisioning, and it's how they actually deploy these packs. Cisco's recommendation is to use this thing, you should initially set up all your clients with EAP Fast Phase 0 turned on, and then once all your clients are provisioned, you turn that off. Okay, that works. And then what happens when you add one more client? Yeah, you turn it back on, and then you never shut it off again, which is seen consistently in every deployment I've ever seen, okay? So this is kind of a not cool thing. So, you know, they do have some additional features here where they do have the ability to do EAP Fast Pack provisioning using RSA-based authentication, where you would have to visit the client, install a new digital certificate, and then use that to authenticate the access point to do the EAP Fast Pack provisioning in a secure manner. That doesn't really work, right? Why am I going to visit the client, install an RSA certificate, and then use it to automatically provision a certificate? It's Cisco's like circular logic thing, and I love this. They've got this logic thing where, well, I need secure pack provisioning. Okay? Well, that's why we have this RSA-based mechanism. But I need to be simple. I don't want to touch any machines. Well, that's why we have anonymous EAP fast provisioning. But I need to be secure. Well, that's why we have the RSA thing, right? So, and it's a circular logic thing where you can't really get around that stuff. So it's kind of a problem. We unfortunately don't have an attack demonstration about this today.
We're trying.
You know, we spent like all weekend trying to do that, and it didn't work out so well for us. FreeRadius doesn't have support for EAP fast yet, but as soon as it does, the attack that we're going to come out with is basically, hey, I'm your EAP fast server, and I'm going to have EAP fast phase 0 pack provisioning enabled. I'm going to give you a pack, and you're going to give me your MS Chat v2 credentials. And now it's the whole sleep attack all over again. OK, I'm going to sit down.
Cool. So, well, right off the bat, how many people run PEAP and EAP TTLS? Nobody? I see one guy hiding the thing. All right, so I'm a security consultant for Foundstone. I mess with wireless networks a lot. Almost all of our clients use PEAP and EAP TTLS. It's a really, really popular thing. They're both very, very popular. Overall, the important thing to remember about PEAP and EAP TTLS is that what they do is they establish mutual authentication between the client and the server. After it does that, it sets up a tunnel, a TLS tunnel between the client and authentication server. So it does this because what it wants to do after that is transmit less secure inner authentication credentials. So the idea is, okay, we don't want to send EAP MD, or we don't want to send MD5 hashes over the wireless network, or we don't want to send MS Chat hashes over the challenge response over the wireless network, or PAP. We want to have this in this tunneled secured network, right, or this tunneled secure connection. So that's basically the main gist of it, and I guess the important part. To look more specifically at it, we have so initially, before any of this stuff happens, we have our standard 802.11 association request, response, and authentication and association. Then what happens is the Radius server sends an EAP identity request. The client then sends an EAP identity response. Now, the EAP identity response is set in clear text, so sometimes, depending on the supplicant, you may, depending on the supplicant and actually the Radius server, you may and may not see this in a packet capture. But it does contain the username, or it'll contain what's called an anonymous name. The Radius server, I know ACS and SBR, Steel Belt to Radius, they both support anonymous names, which basically means ignore this. But if you're an attacker, if you're sniffing on the network or anything, now you have one, and it doesn't support this. Now you can see the username. You have one part of the username and password, right, which is always a good thing. Anyway, if it is anonymous, we have that TLS tunnel establishment. This is where the client authenticates the Radius server and sets up the tunnel. And then inside this phase 2 here, this is what happens inside of that. So now we get another identity request, another identity response. This time, that username has to be really what it is, right? This is what's going to be used for your authentication credentials. And this is just a standard MS Chat v2 handshake, right? So then the authentication server sends over its random challenge. The client responds back with its response, and then another challenge, and then the server will say, "I successfully, I successfully identified your challenge. Your response is good. I'm going to create a response using my challenge and send it back to you." Inside the client's response, we have an NT hash and basically the challenge as a solved. Okay. The thing here is, and what's kind of important, is that in this phase 2, after the client sends, we're going to demonstrate an attack tool here, and the client will be kind of in this state of limbo after our attack is successfully launched. This is because we just took this where the client sent its response. So we just took that data that the client said and said, all right, whatever, here's anything to satisfy that last request. So the client in the MS Chat v2 scenario, the client will just kind of sit there a little in that I actually won't actually connect, and I'll keep trying to reconnect. Also, an important thing to remember is the difference between PEAP and EAP TTLS. It's mainly PEAP only supports MS Chat v2, and EAP TTLS will support pretty much anything. So as its inner authentication protocol. Okay. As far as the server validation goes, the supplicant really, this is where everybody messes up. Okay, the supplicant or the client really needs to do 3 things. It needs to identify the signing authority for the certificate. It needs to validate the trusted CA, and it also needs to compare the certificate name to that in its local store, which is usually the Radius server name. All of this stuff needs to be configured. If you guys are here and you have a PEAP or EAP TTLS set up at home or at work, immediately check that all this stuff is configured. Because if it's not, we'll show everybody in this room how to own you.
That's why nobody runs PEAP or TTLS here, Brad.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So obviously what happens here? We all know this slide, right? We try to go to bankofamerica.com over HTTPS. You know, there's domain name mismatch, no www. What does the user do? Yeah, whatever, clicks, okay, right? We all know about this. We don't want to trust our security of our network or the security of the client in the client's hands. Clients are dumb, right? So we don't want to do that. So the main weaknesses, again, the main weakness is a configuration-related issue here. We have a lot of people out there, a lot of people who are configuring it who don't validate server certificates. So that's the issue that we're attacking here. It's a configuration-related issue. They may be validating a server certificate, or they're just not properly configuring it on the supplicant. And we'll go through the different supplicant configurations. So right off the bat, what's wrong here? Oh, there you go. Validate server certificate. I can tell you, I see this in so many different clients. The response is, well, you know, we were trying to get PEAP working, and it really wasn't. And then I figured out if I uncheck this box, everything worked great. Woohoo! So, like, yeah, oh, no, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. You're an idiot. No, I don't. Anyway, so at any rate, this is the obvious issue. Here, super easy pwnage, man. We can own you real quick, and everything's happy. The next setup is a little different, so this is the default configuration for Windows 0 config. We got that checkbox checked. Yes, we're in, right? Wrong. Now what we basically do is Windows 0 config will prompt the user, right? It'll prompt the user, do you want to trust this certificate? Except as long as the certificate's in the user's trusted certificate store, right? It has to be in there already. But the messed up part here is that it only shows you the certificate name, the certificate authority. It doesn't actually show you the name. So that's kind of an issue there, because anybody who, as from the client standpoint, he sees a VeriSign certificate and says, oh, this is a VeriSign certificate. VeriSign's cool. Okay, I'm connected. Yeah, right. Wrong. Problem there, right? Because now that they pressed OK, the security of the network is in the hands of the client. So now we just owned them already. The next configuration, one step further. This is kind of stupid. I mean, it's really stupid. They say, OK, I want to validate certificate, and my certificate's a VeriSign certificate, so boom, boom, I'm good. Wrong. The problem here is Windows 0 config. If it doesn't have the connect to these servers checkbox checked, it'll just take any server from that trusted certificate authority. So now, what happens here? A client says, "Okay, let me sniff, sniff your client." An attacker says, "Let me sniff a client's TTLS connection." Finds out that you're getting a Network Solutions or a VeriSign certificate, and says, "Cool, let me grab one of those." Any certificate name will do, as long as it's a valid VeriSign certificate or a valid whatever trusted authority certificate you'll use, and the client sees no interaction. So again, boom, got you, owned, right? So that's why it's really important to get this configuration right. So Func software is kind of all right, kind of. The first time it'll still prompt the user, but it takes a little more stricter controls. It doesn't make it as easy to mess up, but it still will prompt the user and leave that in that hands. OSS supplicant, this doesn't really. I wish there's more red there. Maybe some fire or death signs. I saw some good things. But no, the user has to take it on his own initiative to view the certificate, and then it sees some red there, and still the client's probably like, I don't know what's going on. Yes, okay, cool. So, but there is actually, for OS X, there are good things, like it does show some green in certain areas, so that's kind of cool. But for the most part, again, you guys will really want to focus on your client security, especially with this attack that we're going to demonstrate today. This is what we're attacking. I saw two other attacks that focused on the need for identifying, how do we prevent against AP impersonation attacks? And Jay Beal's attack was, they're attacking all of our clients, right? So this is another thing we're battering over everybody's head. We really want to address, and we're going to show you one of the real issues that we can perform with it.
I love the ambiguous they.
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 Yeah.
They are attacking all of our clients.
They,
yeah. Nobody in particular. Yeah.
So I think it's all you.
Okay, so oh, it's my turn now, right?
If you want.
All right, good. All right, okay, yeah. All right, so attacking PEAP deployments, what we're going to talk about here. The problem is that security is left in the hands of the user. Even if you think you've properly configured your supplicant, often the only thing that determines whether or not that client can get owned or not is the client saying yes or no. Right? This is the classic IE problem, right? With using ettercap and SSL man-in-the-middle attacks, and I think you guys all know that kind of stuff. But the problem here is that I think we're using TLS improperly. So PEAP and TTLS both use TLS for that authentication mechanism. We use TLS for web browsing to HTTPS websites, but we validate the server name against what the URL is the user typed into the bar. With EAP authentication, the user doesn't know what the host name of your radius server is. They've got no idea. They're relying on you to pre-configure that. Guess what? Most admins don't know what the name of their radius server is, or at least not what's on the certificate that they're using. And if it's not specified in the supplicant, they're vulnerable to the attack that we're going to demonstrate. I lost my clicker. All right. What would an attacker's radius server do? So we want a malicious radius server that does bad things for us. And what it's going to do is it's going to return success for any authentication request. Any username you specify, any password you specify, dude, that rocks, man. I'll take anything you got for me. It'll emulate the network. Oh, thanks, dude. It'll emulate the network, and if you do successfully complete authentication, it says, oh yeah, hey, oh, here's your Windows file sharing server, by the way. Your files are gone, but there's one left that says, you know, double-click, eat me, drink me, run me, right? And that's it. That's the only thing that's left. Robin Wood, I don't know if Robin's here. He's been doing some great work with Karma. Yeah! Yeah. Digininja.org, D-I-G-I ninja.org, okay. Now we can log all the authentication credentials. So ultimately what we want is your authentication credential. So we're going to log all that stuff and then potentially accelerate the attack with that as well. We removed a couple of slides, put it at the end of the deck. We're probably not going to get to it, but if you're interested in accelerating some of the attacks, you can check out the slides, and they'll be at the end of the deck. So we basically hacked up FreeRadius that we call FreeRadius Wireless Pwned Edition, okay? FreeRadius WPE. It's a patch for FreeRadius, and it adds logging for any authentication credentials. So it will log your username and password for PEAP in the challenge response, for TTLS, for PAP, for any of the inner authentication mechanisms, for LEAP for that matter as well. It returns success wherever possible. Like Brad said for MSChat v2, I can't return success because there's mutual authentication built into MSChat v2, but for anything like TTLS PAP or TTLS CHAP or any of those, I can return success and just make you think that you're authenticated to my network. Yeah. Okay, so how do we set up FreeRadius Wireless Pwned Edition? I'll give you all the source code stuff and talk about that at the end of the presentation. The only thing you need to do is we've basically simplified FreeRadius. How many people have set up FreeRadius before? Yeah. How many people thought that was an easy task? Woo! How many people thought the documentation with FreeRadius was stellar? Yeah, man! Brad and I, we spent all week trying to get eFast working. That sucked, really. We've simplified this a little bit, so when you apply our patch and you install it, it will set up all the right things for you. So it'll set it up expecting your AP to be a Radius client using the pre-shared secret of test coming from any RFC 1918 address. It will automatically authenticate any user to the system, so you don't have to set that stuff up as well. And it will do any EAP type. So we basically took all the default configurations and just made it work. Okay? So basically getting the source code, patching it, configuring and building it, going to the certificate directory. There's a little script come with FreeRadius called Bootstrap that'll do all your certificate stuff for you automatically, and then run radiusd and then watch the log file. So we're gonna combine some tools here. Yeah. So I went to Google Images and I typed in evil AP, and I was looking for like a picture that I could use a slide of an evil access point, but I misspelled access point, and I got a picture of Ann Couture instead. So I think I misspelled AP B-I-T-C something, I don't know. Something, it was weird, okay? So she's our evil access point reader. Here's our unsuspecting victim here, poor Henry Rollins. Henry Rollins is just a normal user, right? He doesn't know things pop up, right? He doesn't know what's going on. He authenticates and shares his MSChat v2 credentials with the evil AP here. Now, the evil AP now watches the free radius log file that we created with the wireless port addition patch, and now it's logging the username, the challenge, and the response information. So now, evil AP knows your challenge response information. Remember the sleep hack that I talked about earlier on, where you could specify the challenge and the response? Well, now you could just take that challenge response right from the free radius log file, run it through a sleep, and of course, Henry's password is ncultur. Did you guys see this? I don't know how much time we have. Are we running out of time?
Lunch is next.
All right, yeah, all right. I was watching ncultur. By the way, it's culture, not culture. It's just, I don't know, I didn't know that. Ncultur. She was saying that we should all vote for Hillary Clinton, right? Which I thought, wow, dude, that's messed up. Why are you saying that? She was saying that basically because, if we vote in Hillary Clinton, she'll try to do healthcare reform, and then we're just going to repeal that shit in 4 years when she's out of office, because she's going to mess everything up. That just vote her in, because it's going to be so bad that in 4 years the Republicans will take over, the legislators and the executive branch. So, she was saying that, and she was saying, we shouldn't vote for John McCain, because then he's going to legalize all the illegal aliens, and then he can't kick those people out like he can with healthcare reform. So I heard her saying that, and I thought, man, what a bitch! My God. Okay. All right. So we're going to do a little demo action.
Yeah.
All right.
Man, we got to be louder than those guys, man. At some point in time, you guys just have to make an uprising and start screaming and do some stuff. Bang on the walls, there you go, eventually. You can light the wall on fire,
All right, so I'm a normal wireless user. My machine's set up like this. I walk into the office. This is how I use my wireless machine every single day. It's set up with the SSID Caradine here. It's using WP2 and AES-based authentication. I left all the default PEAP settings here. I am validating my service certificate. Everything's cool here, except the only thing I changed was I'm not sending my Windows logon name and password because I didn't want you guys to own me in about 30 seconds, okay? So I'm not revealing that stuff right there. But, normally I would leave that and everything would be fine. So I set up my machine, and then normally I supply my authentication credentials. This is the part where we hope it works. Yeah.
Maybe we have to reboot its Windows, right?
Yeah, this would normally work, but my machine's kind of... You know what happens? I don't know if you guys do any of this wireless fuzzing stuff, but I own like 40 wireless cards, and I think I have 40 plus 1 different wireless managers for all these different wireless cards. So my machine's pretty screwed up at this point. But yeah, what it's doing is it's saying, I can't find this access point right now. Yeah, we did this like 8 times last night. Oh!
Thank you for saying fire in the hole.
I think there needs to be like a second delay, right?
I don't know if anybody knows. I conveniently just dipped behind Josh.
That was nice, yeah, thanks. Oh. Dude, and last year we had the no shmoo in the junk sign, right? And this year I didn't have it, and of course, right? All right, let's try this section again.
Window.
You're too weak, Josh. You can't be called.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Josh, do you know Shmoocon?
No, I don't. Thanks.
So what network are you using? Secure wireless network?
No, I mean,
change SID.
Yeah, you want to do that?
Yeah.
How about test 5? That would be awesome.
Bum, bum, bum. All right, so basically what happens here is Windows 0 config sucks. So it makes our lives difficult. What we're on test 5 now because tests 1 through 4 kept sucking. And
Well, not all of them suck.
actually, no. I think maybe tests 1 and 3. Or
1 and
4.
3 rocked, and
Oh,
4, yeah.
I don't know. It was just, yeah. But they all suck. All right, test 5, right? Or test 6? What, test 5?
5.
5? Let's do test 6 just to be sure.
Let's do test 6,
All
Brad.
right, cool. Thanks, man. All right, hold on. This guy's rebooting. So,
Okay.
sorry. By the way, I love this access point. If you guys are looking for a cool off-the-shelf access point, it's great. The thing that sucks about it, you have to use the airport utility. That's not cool, but it's really, really reliable. It supports a zillion users and supports like everything, 802.11, A, B, G, N, everything. So it's pretty sexy that way. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the airport. It's the Airport Extreme base station, the one that supports Gigi.
Does it need to be rebooted every month like the old one?
Yeah, it needs to be rebooted every time we make a configuration change. That's what we're doing
true.
right now.
Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, I don't really use it as a home API. I just use it to hack stuff. So I don't really know if yeah.
Is that
All
straight
right.
up now?
You should be good.
All right. Well, let's try this again.
Fingers crossed. Everyone. Come on. This is because nobody crossed their fingers, man. It's fucked up. Guys destined us for doom. Right. So I can test it here from
All right.
Odyssey Client,
All
just
right.
to show the effect of the.
So yeah, we brought a different supplicant. I don't know why this shit's not working, but all right.
All right, no worries. Plug it into this guy. All right, that was epic fail right there, guys. In case you were confused on what happens at epic fail. So no input has been detected. Should I do the?
Yeah, you got to do the.
All right, use a little bit of action. Booyah! All right, let's just clear this out. You don't need to see all that. Oh wait, no, clear it out now. All right, cool. See, these guys are so much louder than us. All right. So basically, I have here not the same. This is using Odyssey Client, so it's not the same configuration as Windows 0 config. Obviously, Windows 0 config sucks and hates us. So what I need to do real quick is just reconfigure this for a test 7000, and then give me 2 seconds. To 6, cool. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. Why is it? Oh God! All right, hold on.
Maybe we should have done that backup video.
Yeah, we should have done that backup video, man. All right, cool. So what we have here is, all right, so we got our AP. Our AP is connected to our laptop, right? On my laptop, I'm running Windows, right? There's nothing, no crazy stuff is happening here, guys. So you can own a lot of networks without having to do any injection like you would with WEP or anything crazy. Every once in a while, you may have to de-auth the client in case you don't get a new client to connect. Or you're not there at the time. But at any rate, so we have VMware running a backtrack. So I basically took a backtrack. Woo! Backtrack, you guys rule. So I basically took a standard backtrack deployment. I have it installed on my local machine, but I took a standard backtrack deployment. Used FreeRadius. So Josh gave us the instructions on how to install FreeRadius WPE. Also, I have a white paper on Foundstone.com. So check that out. It has really dumb proof. I wrote it for top execs. And people like that, so it's really, really like screenshots and everything, you know. So check that out if you're confused. But basically, after we get FreeRadius patched and installed, all you do is just run Radius D. I have Radius D -X here, just so we can see the connections in real time. So cool. I'm just going to move this over to the side. Pull up the. So I have this SSH'd into here. I'm SSH'd into the Radius server just because it's easier for me. I don't like when the VMware captures my mouse. I don't have VM tools or any of that stuff installed. So whatever. Cool. So we have the client connect. So let me just do a tail -F. Now by default, what FreeRadius WPE is, again, we tried to make this guys really, really easy for you guys. All right. We understand that there's a lot of noobs out there that want to own stuff. So, cool. Use it responsibly, guys. Responsibly. All right, cool. All right, cool. So what we do is, by default, now this is a configuration variable. You can set it up in radiusd.conf. But by default, what we do is we throw it in this free radius server wp.log. So we'll tell -f that. Oh, we got you.
All right, good.
All right, so it worked before the demo.
All right, yeah.
So basically, what happened here? Well, let's do it a little live. All right, so check it out. So here I have this client. Test 6. As soon as he connects, so it's searching. Yeah, right. Never. There's this continuous fail here, man. All right. Oh, you know what's the problem? No, that shouldn't have been a problem. All right, I'm not really sure whatever. So the client connects. God, we're working together here. We're working together. All right, the client connects. You see here, boom, we got an MS Chat connection. Cool. We have a username, Wright. Gotcha. Challenge and a response. So that's awesome, right? Clap. Come on, what are you doing? So that's great, right? So now here's the client connecting again. So at any rate, so the client connects, we get the challenge and response. So what do we do with that? Well, what did Josh say you just put into a sleep? Oh, -C, -R. So press Control-C there, just to kill that tail of my chef. Change directories into our sleep directory as long as you have it compiled. Now, before this, what we did was we took a backtrack standard word list, ran it through gen keys, so we generated a list of NT hashes.
Oh my God. You throw like girls.
Wow. Everybody was offended except the one girl. All right, so at any rate, so cool.
I didn't question it.
So cool. So now we have a sleep. So again, we generated that file with backtrack standard wordlist.txt. Actually, I think we appended the password to the end of it for the sake of the demo, whatever. And we generated all the NT hashes on it. So we have these pre-computed tables, that GenKeys generates. Also, a sleep has a -W option, which is really cool. Thanks, Josh, again. Which is really cool because now you don't have to use GenKeys to pre-gen it. If you want to hack something real quick, it's kind of cool. So here we'll just use a sleep with a -R. We're on high alert now. We're on high alert. So we'll specify the challenge here with the -C. Copy this guy. Specify the response. Specify our word list here. So this is our word list out, and that's our NT hash dictionary list, and this is our index for that. Word list.in. Cool. Boom. We got ya! Hit him. So, whoa, what just happened? We just owned somebody, right? Obviously, we decrypted the MS Chat v2 hash. We got access to those inner authentication credentials, right? That's the most important thing. We want to access those inner authentication credentials, and then obviously we use the sleep to crack them. So from the client standpoint, the client connected, got a little confused, and then just tried to reconnect again and start roaming. A smart attacker, by the way, because the smart attacker knows that the MS Chat v2 handshake won't occur in between, smart attacker would immediately unplug the AP, right? This way the client can reconnect reconnect to its own company SSID. Another important thing is you can own these guys in airports or wherever because they're still probing or attacking the client, remember? So you don't need the company's network. You don't have to overpower the network. You can just own them wherever you want. I'm just going to try to set this up really, really quickly one more time. I really want to show you guys for PAP too. PAP is pretty stupid. What it does is PAP is completely plain text. So, oh, it's not even showing up. Messed up. All right, so at any rate, what you would see for PAP is when the client would connect, up here, you'd see instead of MSChap, obviously you see PAP, and since PAP is in clear text, boom, you have the username and password right away. I see a lot of clients using this configuration because from what the clients say at least, they can't really get, they can't do proper LDAP authentication through it or something with the Radius server, so they have to use PAP, whatever, that's what they tell me. Also, another kind of cool thing is when you have the with PAP at least, you can have the client connect to you, so now you can start giving him resources, right? Set up a DHCP server, have that client connect, start throwing some stuff at them. Say, you know, here's, you know, you want this website, anything along those lines. Use that Karma stuff that we've learned and all that good stuff. One other thing too is thank you Windows for one thing, being stupid. You guys did a great job at integrating Active Directory into everything. So guess what? If this is Active Directory authentication, not only have you just owned the wireless network, but you also have a domain account to help you own some more stuff, right? Awesome there too. So that's pretty much the demo. Sorry it didn't go exactly how we wanted, but go ahead.
So if the success message isn't protected, you can actually get a full encrypted WPA session with the client? If you can, so the question was, if the response is not protected, can you get a full WPA2 session with the client? Yeah, if it were PAP or CHAP or EAP-MD5 inner authentication or MSChap v1, then yeah, for any of those, then you could actually fully complete the authentication, give them keys, and then like pretend to be the whole network. I don't think it's really necessary to do that, but yeah, I mean, and then you could do that, and then you could protect, you know, other people at the con from sniffing people that you own, you know, so that would be good.
Well, if you get a honeypot to use, you got to protect it too.
Yeah, well, you know, you don't want to do that. Okay. All right. So, you know, are PEAP and TTLS like broken? Like, are these broken? You know, no. You know, I'm still cool with PEAP and TTLS when deployed properly. And I think the message that we're trying to say here today is that I've yet to see a proper deployment. Everybody kind of messes it up a little bit, and ooh, yeah, that's not what I wanted to do. All right, there we go. So nobody really deploys it properly. So we need to use caution in configuring the supplicant. Like Brad was saying, clients, man, right? We call this the escargot approach to network security, right? It's like you know, you got your firewalls, you got your IPS, you got your IDS, your mail scrubbers, your AV gateways, all this stuff on the outside of the network. But where's all the vulnerable shit? Like on the inside of the network, right? So it's the escargot approach, hard and crunchy on the outside, soft and chewy on the inside, right? That's what a lot of these networks are like these days. Dude, it doesn't get better than that, man. Nobody even laughed at that shit.
Yeah,
that was rough.
They're all dead or something.
All right. So,
yeah. Eat your hand.
So what's a proper WZC supplicant configuration? Can I still use WZC properly? Yes, you can. Always validate server certificate. Like Brad said, if that's not on, then the whole game's over, right? That's easy to own. We need to specify what Radius servers I allow to be authenticated. This is what TLS does. It uses these Radius server names and matches it against a certificate that gets returned from the Radius server. That's how you differentiate a Radius certificate issued to my organization from VeriSign and a Radius certificate issued to Brad from VeriSign. Sorry, Brad. So, you know, this is how we differentiate that. Without that differentiation, if I see Brad's using VeriSign, I can buy a VeriSign certificate and now impersonate Brad's Radius server. Specify the certificates you want to use. Very important here. Do not prompt user to authorize new servers or trusted certificate authorities. Don't give people the option to say, yes, continue. Okay? That was one of the big things in IE7, right? We don't allow people to say, yes, continue anymore. You could turn that off as a GPO mechanism. So when I reported this whole thing, and as part of the whole ethical disclosure thing to Microsoft, they were pretty cool about it, the whole Microsoft CERT team, and they published a white paper with the most ridiculous name I've ever seen. How to configure PEAP version 0 to reduce potential risks against man-in-the-middle attacks and against password persistent attacks when you're authenticating servers in Windows Vista or Windows Server 2008. Okay? Yeah, so run right on and get that one, baby. Yeah! All right. I tried to blog it, but you know, my blog software crashed, so it sucked. Okay. So just to summarize real quick, You know, the evolution of wireless security relies on strong EAP types. We have to have strong EAP types. If we're going to use protocols like TLS to secure its credentials, we have to make sure we're deploying it properly. And to do a secure TLS deployment, you have to specify not only that they're valid certificates that you trust, but they're issued to an organization that you want to trust as well. And that's classically what's missing from almost all PEAP and TTLS deployments today, which allows us to do the whole free radius wireless deployment tradition. Eat Fast is broken, and we'll spend some more time talking about that at a later con, hopefully. You know, knowledge helps solve to defend our networks. I really put that in there for my employer, so when I can defend this presentation later, I can point to that and say, this is why I did it. Okay, questions? Woohoo! Yeah, all right. Okay. Woo! Go own stuff! Woo! Yeah! All right. Okay.
I actually have two pretty important questions. What kind of maki is that?
What kind of a what? I'm sorry?
Sushi roll. What kind of sushi is that?
He's hungry. He's hungry.
Dude, I bought it from some professional photography site. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, and did you guys go shoe shopping together, or was that separate?
No, I got the low top version.
No, I got the high tops, man.
Yeah,
Tuck
see?
tailors, baby. What?
So, you like my ankles? They're sexy, right? Yeah, all right. Other questions? All right, okay, well, thanks very much for coming. Here's a couple of questions. Thanks.
Can I have the mic? Thank you. Oh, I just turned it off, sorry.
Here.
Okay. I got a couple of announcements. Everybody, please exit as quickly as you can because we're reconfiguring the rooms. Yep. Everybody, please exit as fast as you can. Go out the back if you can. Also, our video guy has DVDs of the sessions over for sale. This is how he makes his living. Can I be heard now? No.
Yeah, drop me a note. You know, I eavesdrop on people's Bluetooth headsets. Yeah. Yep. I can find them in non-discoverable mode. That's kind of fun. No. I'm using software-defined radios to actually sniff raw Bluetooth frames to get large portions of the BD adder. It's a software-defined radio. It's an FPGA, and I wrote my own Bluetooth demodulator. Yeah, so it's pretty sweet. I'll have to talk about that another time. That was kind of fun, but yeah.
Any particular flavor of MP4